What is up, everybody? I'm truly and utterly excited. We have some phenomenal questions today that we're going to address. So let's go ahead and just get started. Hopefully, the 6 week challenge is going well. I know it's a little different. We're a little bit low key this time through. However, we're working out some kinks for our virtual, and next time, bigger, bolder, more beautiful. So let's get to it. I wanted to talk about bouncing back from a bad weekend. Lisa said no such thing as a bad weekend, and my past weekend can absolutely attest to the fact that there are bad weekends. So we talked, I think, with Barb last week. She had a 10 year, so happy 10 year Barb. Hopefully that all went well. How can you prepare for that kind of thing? Eating a little bit less the day up to, eating very clean the day up to, and then who declined what? Uh, and then eating really clean and maybe a little bit less the day or two prior to that help kind of create a caloric balance, right? Energy balance. Same thing with the weekend. So if you know that you're going to have a fun weekend, a holiday weekend where you want to relax, let loose a little bit more, just ensure that you're eating maybe a little bit less that week, not starving yourself, but eating a little bit less that week up to it, and then definitely focus on the week and even maybe the weekend after, cleaning it up a little bit because it is about balance, right? Matter can neither be created nor destroyed, simply transferred from one energy to another. So if you are not in a caloric surplus overall over the course of the week, you're not really going to gain weight. So you can balance it out. We just don't want to get in the habit of starving Monday to party Saturday, right? A little cut, a couple hundred calories here and there throughout the week to help balance out maybe a bad meal or a party time on the weekend. But bad weekends can absolutely happen, and you can ruin a good week in one day. You can really ruin it in one meal if you think about it. Um, Missing workouts. So this is actually in reply to Jen. She said, "You said it could be a good thing. Will you explain?" Well, it really just depends. It's not always a bad thing, right? If you miss it, as long as it's a rare occurrence, you're still prioritizing your fitness overall. One workout's not going to make or break you. And if you're someone who is working out consistently 5, 6, maybe even 7 days a week, your body needs time to rest and recover, right? And the only time to recover, or the only way to recover, is to rest. So, impromptu day off where you just let your body kind of unwind, rest, kind of replenish can be an absolutely good thing, especially been really consistent. My recommendation truly is at least once every 6 months, just taking a week off from intentional physical activity such as exercise. That doesn't mean don't be active. That means maybe stay away from weights for a week. 6 months, every 3 months, if you work out intensely, it's not necessarily a bad thing as long, again, as your diet kind of measures up. It's still a good diet week. Maybe you're just resting or deloading for 1 week every 3 to 6 months. So it can be a good thing, especially if you work out a lot. You need those days to rest because that's where you repair, that's where you build muscle. So let's go ahead and get to the questions. Number one, Barb, this is a great one. Quinoa versus brown rice, which is better to use? They both have some really good positives. And as long as you use them in balance with an overall diet, because they're both really heavy in carbohydrates, they're both fantastic. So mix it up. You asked, I think it was you, Barb, you asked if, eating the same thing every day is okay. I said it can be, especially, you pick a couple meals where you have some staples and then one meal you change it up a little bit. You can alternate. The nice thing about quinoa is it definitely has more protein in it. Brown rice does too. Brown rice, remember, it really pairs well with beans. Beans, incomplete protein, rice, incomplete protein, putting them together, you get a complete protein. So they're both great for you in moderation as long as the rest of your diet is in balance, right? They are just really carb heavy too. So be aware, but I do like the protein that quinoa packs. This is more of an exercise question. I like to consider these my forte. So wrists, and I get this a lot with people, and I've had some issues in the past over myself, especially when we're doing a lot of barbell work. And do I have anything? Sure, I have something right here. When we're doing a lot of barbell work. So wrists, when we're doing something like a clean, a front squat, a press, even a push-up, the wrist can be a weak link. And what we want to do is make sure we're creating a force called torque. This is going to ensure that all muscles are firing properly, everything is supported properly. So what I see a lot, and if you guys can see me in this position, is hyper bent wrists back here, and this barbell isn't super heavy, so my hand would normally touch my shoulder. If my hand isn't supported, or if my wrist isn't supported by the musculature in my wrist, this can be uncomfortable. There are two things that we can do. Number one, take a lot of the balance from, or a lot of the weight from the wrist, and then place it on the shoulder. That's number one. Now my shoulder girdle's holding most of the weight. Now my wrists are just nice and open, nice and relaxed. The other thing we can do, and this especially works well on things like pressing, is we create torque. And the way we create torque is focusing on external rotation. So I'm going to grab something and I'm going to try to bend that something, right? So when I'm grabbing that barbell, if you notice my wrists are loosey-goosey, all that weight in the back, if I can grip and I can really focus on trying to bend, and what I'm trying to do, you guys can watch, is I'm trying to bend that bar back that way. This will help add support to the wrist. Also ensures that the weight is on the heel of that palm and thumb, not back on the pads near the fingers. Because if I'm doing that, especially when I'm pressing or cleaning, that can be really uncomfortable. So grip the barbell and then try to bend that barbell. That'll create some torque and hopefully can help with your wrists. What we also find in push-ups, I see a lot of people when they have too much weight across the padding of the hands, that creates a little extra pressure on the wrist. So we do the same things. We place our hands on the ground, and I'm going to act like I'm spinning them on plates, right? I'm turning my hands into the floor. They won't move, but you'll notice my elbow moves, and then what happens is to place the weight primarily on the heel of the palm. That is supported through the wrist, that is supported through the elbow, which in turn is supported by the shoulder. So grip it and rip it. I'll be at Fierce tomorrow morning, Barb, so if you're there, we'll work on it a little bit too one-on-one, no problem. It'll be fun. So yes, and if it's really, really, really sore, it's okay to take a rest. If we want to move away from barbell work, I find it easier sometimes to switch over to dumbbells and even sometimes switch over to kettlebells. A good early morning breakfast or pre-workout snack. So banana is what is set, and I'm actually really on board that. I think a banana is a solid first thing in the morning. Barbie, say you're looking to avoid fruit. I'm going to ask you why. Why are you looking to avoid fruit? There might be a medical reason potentially. If you're looking to limit your carbohydrates, your morning's really, really good time to get some of those carbohydrates in. Fruit is sugar, fructose, it is sugar. Your body responds to it a little differently or similarly to how it would maybe say table sugar. But what you also have to understand is two things. Fruit has a lot of fiber in it, can slow down digestion. Number two, there's a lot of great micronutrients that come along with fruit. So where just table sugar doesn't have a lot going for it, sure, there's some sugar in bananas, but it's got a lot going for it too. So don't let that deter you. If you're going to get carbohydrates, fruit and vegetables are a great source. But of course, you can overdo it. But that's a go-to. That's a staple for me. A protein source with that might be a good thing too, like a little bit of like a natural, all natural almond butter, chia butter, something like that. It'll taste pretty good together. A little fat and a little bit of protein to mix with those carbohydrates. That's a great mix. And you can even blend it up just a little bit. You can take some almond milk, put it into the blender, throw half a banana in, throw a tablespoon of or a teaspoon of almond butter, blend it up. You got a nice protein, carbohydrate, and fat pack. It tastes pretty good, and then you should be good to go. Eggs are always a great resource, but based on what you're telling me now, you probably don't have a whole lot of time to prepare that. So maybe throw some egg beaters into that same maybe put in the same smoothie. That would actually increase the protein a little bit too. So that's a really good thing. Berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, those are all great. But again, look for some kind of protein source. Even like a chia butter or a nut butter of some kind would be a nice pairing, even if you don't put them together. Because you can get some of that long sustainability of fat that digests a little bit slower, and you get that protein along with it. So hopefully that helps you there, Barb. You have some really great questions. Just don't get dizzy and crash. So, Kelly, great question. Man, this is a really good question today. A lot of it was workout. That's my favorite stuff, right? If I only have a short time to get a workout in, say 20 minutes, what is the most effective use of my time? Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Kelly. I usually spend 15 to 20 minutes warming up anymore, right? So we have to keep that in mind because when we're talking in terms of 20 minutes, if this does not include warm up, it's going to change the game just a little bit. I'm probably primarily going to stick with body weight exercises, push-ups, squats, rows, just because those will tend to be a little bit lower impact. I don't have a force pushing me down other than my own body weight. You have a little bit of time to work out, that might change the game a little bit. Somebody said piggyback, cardio versus weights. We'll go in that in a second, Barb. More weights faster, not necessarily the best. We want to lift them intentionally. You might increase the pacing a little bit as long as it's a lightweight and you can control it. But what I find is the best bang for your buck is circuit training. So you're picking 3, 4 exercises, alternating between maybe an upper body exercise, a lower body exercise, upper body exercise, lower body exercise, or upper body, lower body core, something like that. Because the more muscles we work in any given day, the more calories we burn. And for a lot of this, just resistance training with our own body weight can provide the stimulus to increase muscle. So now, if I can do 50 push-ups, in a row, I'm not going to build a lot of muscle that way. But if 12 is a struggle for you, guess what? 12 is that magic number, even from your knees, to stimulate muscle growth. So let's go ahead and pick 12 push-ups, followed by 12 squats, followed by 12 sit-ups. Rest 30 seconds, repeat that 3 to 4 times through. Your heart rate's going to get up, similar to if you were cardiovascular, working cardio, right? If you were on the treadmill, if you were on the elliptical. Your muscles are going to get some work, potentially spark some growth. You're going to work a lot of muscles in a very short period of time. More muscles we work, like I said a moment ago, the more calories we burn. So that would be my advice to you, circuit training of some kind. Now, if you have plenty of time to warm up, say you only have 20 minutes for the actual workout, but you can spend some time warming up 5 to 10 minutes before, throw some weights into those too. Controlled, lighter weight, controlled deadlifts, burpees, that's a great pairing too, followed by sit-ups or kettlebell swings. You have plenty of options there. If you don't have time to warm up, stick with your body weight, good tempo, good control of each movement. Make sure you're emphasizing technique first, followed by, if you have time to work out or warm up beforehand, go ahead, throw some weights, kettlebells, some dumbbells. Those things pair up really, really well too. But work upper body, lower body core, or upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body. Pick 2 to 3 circuits to go through 3 to 4 times with 30 seconds or so rest in between. Play around with the rep scheme to pick a number that's challenging for you, but definitely doable. And that's a pretty simple way to program for yourself too. So, at the end of the day, moving is the best one way or the other. However, best bang for buck when it comes to this kind of thing, 20 minutes to work out, circuit train, body weight exercises, some light dumbbells, light kettlebells, light barbell. That was a great question. Let's see, piggyback off that, cardio versus weights. What should you do first in the workout? For example, run then lift weights, or weights then run. So you want to utilize muscle sugar while weight training. Running, cardio burns or depletes that glycogen store, that muscle sugar store. So good rule of thumb, little cardio at the very beginning, 5 minutes, maybe 10, just to get the heart rate elevated, increase your internal temperature, get a little sweat going to loosen you up. Go through a warm-up that kind of mimics the exercises that you're going to be doing. I mean, most of you guys have done some of my warm-ups before where we do a little bit of some push-ups, we do some squats, we do some inchworms, we do some lunges. Get the joints and muscles prepared for work, and then we go into our weight training. If you have a little extra time, you want to throw a little bit of running at the end, 10 minutes of intervals, 30 seconds of hard work, followed by 30 seconds of rest. By all means, go for it. If you want to throw a mile or two run at the end, as long as you feel good, everything's feeling like, the joints aren't hurting, you're not too tired, go for it, because what will happen then is you will use up the muscle sugars during your weight training. And now guess what? We all have 2 things to pull from, actual muscle and fat. If your diet is on point, guess what? You're probably not going to pull too much from muscle. So that last part of your workout, when you're doing cardio, it'll be easier to get into that quote unquote fat burning zone. So general recommendation, weight training, then cardio. Though at the end of the day, weight training, if you do it right, should be enough. So just always keep that in mind. And you are a little crazy, Barb. You do like running. Nobody likes to run. Weather's getting good for it now, though, too. All right, guys. So really, really good questions. I believe next week we are getting into week 5. So hopefully it's going well. If you have questions, concerns, comments, reach me here. Email me at logan@fitclub.net. Thanks, everybody.